Let's face it, there's a lot to complain about right now. And a lot of us actually avoid doing that with our partners, our spouses, or even our friends so that we can avoid starting an argument or engaging in conflict. But holding on to those dissatisfactions over time can create a buildup of frustration and resentment, and that can be toxic to any kind of relationship. And then what happens too is we hold on to those things and finally do voice our complaints in some way that we do so in a tone or words that are too harsh for our other person, our loved one, to absorb. And then that leads to defensiveness and anger. And that response just convinces us to keep withholding our complaints and our frustrations going forward. And then there's this cycle that keeps happening. So, avoiding that destructive type of cycle, we can learn how to voice our complaints and complaining productively and get the result we're looking for instead. This little tip comes from Guy Winch from the Squeaky Wheel. So, he calls it a complaint sandwich that you can create. I've also heard it called an assertiveness sandwich, that you may have heard of that as well. But here it is in a nutshell. First, think of the first slice of bread. He calls it the ear opener. The goal there is to lower the recipient's defensiveness and allow them to absorb the complaint to follow. Then the little middle part, the meat of the complaint or assertiveness sandwich, is the actual difficult thing to say. The complaint, the assertion, or request. So that should be lean like a meat would be, single incident, single principle. Don't go into too many things. Just keep it simple. And then the last piece, the bottom bread, if you will, is a positive statement he calls the digestive. The goal there is to increase the recipient's motivation to respond positively, to hear us, to maybe make action moving forward by reassuring that things will be better if that happens. So it might sound, a little bit like adding condiments might be helpful. And so that says like making your tone very civil and very reasonable rather than making it emotional and frustrated and angry. Only do one complaint per discussion, so choose wisely what you want to say and make your complaint as specific as possible. Don't generalize it into a criticism. So that way it kind of helps with hearing it and making it concrete. So, what this might sound like altogether is, spouse, I really appreciate all you do in the house. Everything that you do really helps me to feel better when I come home from work. That's the first part. The middle part might sound like, I would really appreciate it if you could clean the cat's litter box whenever you see that it needs cleaning. And instead of saying, how many times have I asked you to do this? And then at the end, you might say, I really appreciate you talking through this with me. I know it's something simple, but I just really appreciate you hearing me out. So there you have it, the complaint or assertiveness sandwich in order to get your feelings and assertions across better.